Why is it that every artist, roughly speaking, tends to struggle with the same, I've seen this artist use the same tools as me, but mine looks worse. Why can't I have a style like that? Well, let me tell you, technique is very important, and each individual learns differently. Style can range in so many different ways to break down roughly what people consider a grouped category. Anime, cartoons, realistic, are roughly speaking the categories that have multiple branches and roots, kind of like trees and plants. You can look at something and you can say, I want to draw roughly like this, but you need to go all the way down multiple different branched paths and say, why does it look like that? How does it look like that? For me, when I first started to look at a bunch of artists that I looked up to, I was like, oh, I actually like non-existent line artwork. Let me use a thin brush. No, wait, I like these bold lines. Let me use something super thick. Oh, wait a minute, I like these that have tapered edges. Let me try and figure out what I can do to make my line work either brush pen equivalent or chisel tip equivalent for these various things. Oh, wait a minute, I don't want tapered edges because I need to do these repeatedly for animations and animatics. So let me just take away all of that and use a thick or thin one that's set to a specific size so there's no change to it. Oh, wait a minute, I like this artist who has this really rough texture that looks like a crayon. Do you see where I'm getting at here? You can have hundreds of different ways that you draw something, and at the same time, you gotta limit yourself, because there is so much variation out there. I struggle with this to where I still have 9 different brushes that you'll be seeing me working on in the speed paint of my character Diz here, where I like all of these. And yet at the same time, each of these can have important, different setting for the end result. What I mean by this is I will use the multi-liner thick, multi-liner thin, and comic inker for various illustrations depending on the result that I need. Whether I want the colors to pop or the line art to pop. Medium comic inker ones and the thin ones I use with no taper for my animatics and animations. Ballpoint and brush pen and even sketch and the ones that have texture to them like ink bleed, I use these as experimental ones for if I want something to pop where I want the process to be something that I can have fun with, but I'm not really too focused on if the line art or the colors are gonna pop. I'm really just experimenting. Sketch specifically is just so that I can get down the ideas. Using the textures from ink bleed and ballpoint pen is more for my sake so that when I look at it, it stands out to me personally, even if others might not see it. Now, when I first started doing illustrations, I was using my finger as a stylus, so there was no pen pressure. There was barely any what I could call line confidence to be seen. Line confidence is built up from practice and repeatedly working on something until you're comfortable with making something hundreds of times over again. You'll see this in a lot of confident artists where, be it like those illustrations where you see manga artists drawing their character for the 100th time blind with absolutely no sketch. They can just go straight to the line art and have a very, roughly speaking, close to final finished product from just a quick 10-minute sketch or something on the spot. Me wanting to be able to do this with my illustrations to make something on the spot was very difficult because each illustration that I made had a different purpose. An illustration that was going to be, roughly speaking, just a quick one with either simple cel shading or flat colors didn't need much work to it. I could easily spend hours on the line art and then just slap down colors. Or if I wanted to have a fully rendered illustration, I wanted to balance out whether I wanted the lines to pop or the colors to pop. Then for different results for my animatics or sketches, I wanted to be able to do something really quick and repetitive that didn't have as much detail. Same thing when it came to actually making comics, where both with the animations and the comics, I needed my characters, or the thing that I needed to stand out, to be something that I could repeat over and over again with consistency and confidence. You can have implied textures when it comes to actually rendering and doing colors and such, but I'm going to go over that in a future video where I explain my process behind my rendering. But for now, these pictures that I'm sharing with you are examples of why I feel that my lines sometimes can be too much or too little. When it came to figuring out how much of the lines I needed, for example, for clothing, or for other characters' features, for instance, like this one with the mermaid tail, I wanted the lines to be non-existent. But I struggle with this with clothing, where I want to see every single one of those folds and creases so that I can see it, and sometimes this can help pop for various illustrations if it needs to be, and others it needs to be almost non-existent. It might be very hard for you to understand what I mean, because as a visual person, I have a hard time explaining this, but I can get those implied textures without needing to draw every single line and fold, and other times I want to see as much of those scratchy, sketchy, almost chicken scratch lines on there, because that implied rough texture of a crayon or colored pencil is perfect for what I'm aiming for to get that feeling across to the audience. Something that I would like to stress the importance of is that you don't have to use any or all of these tools. In fact, it sounds strange, you can do all of this with just one specific tool. It just depends on how you yourself adapt it to it using your own techniques. Those techniques basically means how much time and attention you put into it, what works best for you after practicing over and over again. I personally don't like my art to be stagnant and essentially become one-trick pony, where I'm using the same tool over and over again and it just doesn't work for me. I like that variation, and I like to mix it up with different tools, techniques, and in this case it ends up with different styles. And over the years, of course my art's going to change. I was super proud of the illustrations I used to make back in 2017, 2018, 2020, all of them at different stages, and I'm proud of the artwork that I make now, but that doesn't mean that I can't still keep improving for the better. And of course, keeping that consistency for various projects is important for me, especially when trying to make comics and animatics, and stuff that I can make over and over again, like animation. It's important to make sure that that consistency for that specific project stays on point, but it doesn't mean that I can't keep improving, because if I keep remaking something over and over again, like when I rebooted my comic a few times over, it would mean that I wasn't actually going to get these projects out there, because I was just stuck on repeat. So I had to break that cycle and work on what I best feel fits for me, hence why I practice making various line art with various tools and share it with all of you, because at the end of the day, for me personally, I realize that I'm going to still keep learning, and my art journey is going to keep continuing, and at certain points when I feel like I have reached roughly my magnum opus, it will not be said magnum opus. It'll just be another stepping stone in my art journey that I can look back on with fond memories and say, I learned something, and I hope to be able to share it with others, because I had fun making that particular piece, and others enjoyed it as well. If there's anything that I missed in today's video, or if there's any suggestions for the next videos when I talk about coloring or rendering or any other art techniques or tips and tricks you'd like to know, let me know down in the comments below. And thanks for watching to the end. Stay possum, subscribblers. That's all the time that we have for today. Thank you so very much. If you have not already, don't forget to leave some likes and comments and subscribe to join the subscribblers squad. In the meantime, don't forget to check out some of my playlists, and if you would like any fan artwork featured at the end of the video in the subscribblers gallery, tag me in it. I would love to see what you guys make. And if you'd like to support my works and see more, check out my card link below, especially for the patron exclusive rewards. £2 a month, the Fennec Fox tier gets you access to secret sketches and artwork early. The Arctic Foxes, for £5 a month, you get exclusive access to videos and webtoons pages early, and the Red Foxes have the opportunity to be featured as a background character or a commission instead, and your name read out at the end of the videos just like this. Thank you so much to Frankie Jr. 13. Stay possum, subscribblers, and I'll see you real soon.